Shalom, חברים. My name is Tal Bar Lev. I'm the shlicha, the representative for Keren HaYesod Collective Israel Aksi. For me, my story is the story of the Jewish people coming back to the land of Zion. My parents were born in Yemen. I was born in Israel. But all my life, the story of my family, the desire to come to Israel, was something that came into the stories both of my parents as well as my grandparents. My parents came to Zion, to Israel, in the year 1949 in Operation Magic Carpet. This was fulfilling the dream for them. All the time they practiced their Judaism in Tzana, where they used to live, and all the time dreamt about coming back to Zion. My mother had a very long journey coming to Zion. And for me, when I heard the story of my mother coming to Israel, it really resembled and gave me the reality today when the Ethiopian Olim are coming to Israel as well. My parents were born in Tzana, lived all their life, practiced Judaism. They lived in a small community, the Jewish community that was protected by the authorities. Every night they used to close the gate in order to protect the Jewish people. The little girls usually didn't go to school, but they helped the women in the family. My father studied in the cheder and used also to help in the supporting the family. My mother's family decided to make aliyah 2 years before the State of Israel was established. There were shlichim, there were rumors that there is a way to come to Zion, and that there will be ways and people to help them to come. They had to sell everything that they had in Tzana. In the middle of the night, they took their belongings, very little what they ever could carry in their hands. They took a guide, a local guide, who brought camels and donkeys, and the whole family left with whatever they could take in the journey to Zion. The journey took them in the desert nearly 3 weeks, going in the sun, little kids. My mother is the eldest one, and she told me that she had a very, very important job. She had to care for the youngest one, but also in the soles of her shoes, they hid some of the jewelry and some of the silver. So my mother is even shorter than me, not that I'm that tall, but she's shorter. And she said I was short and very heavy. And the responsibility for carrying the jewelry for the family is still something that she's taking upon herself, the responsibility for the whole family all the time, caring for the younger ones. They walked, the kids usually sat on the camel, one on each side in little baskets, and they were walking during the day. Sometimes they had to hide when there were rumors about robberies in the way. Every night they got to a place where they slept. The next morning again walking and finding their way to Aden. In Aden, they arrived to so-called a compound, very similar to what we have in Ethiopia. It's a camp, and my grandfather saw the conditions that were quite difficult in the camp itself, because many Jews gathered there waiting for aliyah to get the permission from the British authorities to come to Palestine that days, and they were refused, of course, and they were waiting there. And my grandfather decided that he will live next to the camp, next to the compound, and the whole family, 7 people, lived in a very small hut for nearly 2 years, waiting. My mother remembers that even when one of my aunts that was born in Aden, Shoshana, one night they came and they attacked them, And my grandmother, a week after giving birth, just took the baby and they all ran away from there. And they lived for a few more weeks in the camp itself. And then there were permits to come to Israel in Operation Magic Carpet. I asked my mother, what do you remember? She said, I remember the journey. It was difficult, but there was always hope to come to Israel. And when we were in Aden, it is very nice city or memories that I have, but still all the time the desire to come to Israel. And she said at the airplane, it was like a big giant bird. And for her it was the first time coming into an airplane. And they were sitting, all the kids together in one row. She said there were no seat belts. And we were all small, very small, sitting one next to the other with my grandmother. And when we landed, it was Friday afternoon. And she remembers when she landed, they gave them little cookies, honey cookies. And she said it was so sweet, I will never forget the taste. It was like the land of milk and honey. And it was just before Shabbos. And they gave us a scarf to cover our head. And she remembers because it was like a towel, that they cut a towel, because it was the early days of the state of Israel. And we had this scarf on our hand, and the cookie, the honey cookie, and this was my first Shabbos, my first Shabbat in Eretz Israel. From there, they took us to my mother and the whole family to the camp in Atlit, and they lived there for nearly 2 months. And later on, my grandfather decided he needs to build something for the family, and they moved to Tel Aviv with the help of other relatives that came before. They lived in Tel Aviv in a small neighborhood called Shchunat HaTikva, in a very small cabin that later on, as the family grew up in Israel, they added another room and another room. But this is what they dreamt all the time, to come to Zion and to build a new home in Eretz Israel. My father came also in Operation Magic Carpet. My father came in the second stage of the operation, and they just had to run away in Tzana. He remembers the day when they attacked the house in Tzana, and they literally, he said, we took whatever we had and we just ran out. This was just after the establishment of the State of Israel, when riots started in Tzana and when Jews were attacked. He said we ran out for our life. He also joined a group of people that walked in the desert from Tzana to Aden. But he immediately nearly left as he came to the camp in Tzana, and from there he was taken with the shlichim for alija to come to Eretz Israel, and he came to a different camp called En-Shemer, and from there he started his life. He lived with his older brother that came a few weeks before him, and he used to live in one room together with him. My father used to work during the day and attended school only in the evening, but he said it was a feeling of building something new. It wasn't easy the first years of the State of Israel, but we all were working towards the aim and the goal of building a new country, a new state for us. It's a beautiful mosaic. This is what you look at the Israeli society. I myself is Tzabra, but I'm a mixture of what Israel is so beautiful. People coming from Yemen, people coming from Morocco, people coming from Poland or from Holland or from England. Everyone is coming. This is a beautiful mosaic picture. I'm very proud being the shlicha, the representative for Keren Esod, because today I feel I continue fulfilling the dreams for many more olim to come to Israel to start a new life in modern Israel. My husband himself is also a new immigrant, came from England. So we continue this story, and we hope to see all Jews coming to Eretz Israel. And thank you for what you're doing for us. תודה רבה.